Good morning, I'm Tyler. You're watching Mokomame. Thanks for joining. This is a noisy power supply, and today I want to show one way that we can do some modifications to cut that noise down a little without having to buy any new parts. So just using the stock parts but modifying the design, we're going to cut down on the noise a little. And to start this, I've got something new. Dremel 4000. I'm gonna have some fun today. So I bought a cheap rotary tool before and I really regretted it afterwards. It's not worth buying a cheap rotary tool because they have no torque and you can't really cut or do the things that you want to do with them. So it's really worth it to get something a little bit better. Cheap ones are easier to open. There's no easy way to open this. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Some tools, some bits. This one is a mount if you want to use it like a trimmer router. This one is a handle. Spare cullet. Spare nuts for... not spare nuts. This one has this little adapter here so we can use it as a pencil, and that nut is to go on the tip here to hold the tools in. And this I can go and attach to the main unit, and then we can easily hold it like a pencil. It's useful. And here we have the main unit here. Goes from 5,000 to 32,000 RPM. Uses a gauge here for speed. On-off switch. This one locks the nut up here so we can change the tools. And yeah, there's a little wrench inside there for us to open and close with. Instructions. Instructions are in picture. And more picture. So let's get started. I completely missed there's actually an instruction book. And it's not in English. I don't really need instruction for this, it's okay. First thing we need to do is get this open. If you've had this plugged in, we need to be really careful with the electronics inside. It's a little bit dangerous, so you should unplug it and leave it unplugged for very minimum is 10 minutes, but probably it's safer to go for 30 minutes. If you have time, go for an hour. It's just safer. Up at the top here, there's 2 screws. I've already removed them. These 2 screws at the bottom stay in. The 2 at the corners, the widest ones, come off. And then over here, we have these 2 screws here that need to come off. I've already loosened mine, so it's easy to take them off. I haven't had my printer on today, so this is safe for me. And just carefully pull this back a little bit. It's not going to come off all the way, so don't try to take it off all the way. And then this piece here, since we've already taken out these screws at the top, this is going to slide out like this. Then you can just lift it up. And be careful not to pull too hard. And if we look inside the power supply here, so we can see these capacitors here are the dangerous parts. We don't want to be putting our fingers near there or touching them. And here's some smaller but still not really nice to touch capacitors. In general, just keep your hands away from everything if possible. And when we're working, we're going to try to just put it off to the side completely. Here's the fan. And the problem about this fan is actually the design of this fan grill. It's too wide and it's restricting the airflow. And this fan is exhaust fan. So when it tries to blow the air out, the air is creating a turbulence. It's hitting this grill here and creating the turbulence, which is creating vibration and noise. And I'll demonstrate to you the difference between having this on and having this off. Okay, so just take your driver here and I'm going to take the screws off the fan. I don't have a decibel reader, but we're going to use the microphone and we'll be able to see at least that there's a difference. We can hear the difference. It's enough to know that what we're doing is going to be beneficial to us. So I'm going to plug the power in, and this is going to become dangerous. So you should not do this at home. I'll do it for you. Okay, now when I flick the switch, anything here is going to become live and not good to touch. So here we have the fan running now. And yes, like this. So if we hold the fan up here and listen to it, and if we take the grill and put it over top, so you see, the fan is not silent by itself, but the noise is completely different when we put the grill over it. We can hear the turbulence being generated from the air blowing and hitting the grill instead of going out freely. And it makes a really big difference, just that little thing. So if we modify this cover, we can cut the noise instantly without having to change any of the parts in the printer. And that's what the Dremel's for. We're going to cut this out with the Dremel. I'm going to cut this out with the Dremel. You can do it with what you have at home. If you have this is a little bit thick. You need a good pair of cutters if you want to try to cut this with cutters. But you could probably do it. You could also do it with a file if you have the patience to do that kind of thing. If you don't care destroying your wood drill, you could try using a hole cutter in a drill press. It'd be a little bit crazy doing it by hand. If you have a cutter for metal, then that's probably the easiest way. Dremel is fun though. Perfect size to fit over the grill, so I'm going to use it to just make a circle first. It's not so important, but it helps to make a straighter cut finally. And I got a basic idea of the line to follow. Actually, it's not really perfect at all, but it's okay. So I'm going to get a piece of wood to put under this so we don't damage the table. And we're going to start. We can take the top cap off here and then lock this and unscrew this. Actually, this is probably where the instructions are a good idea. Okay, so this was correct so far. We need to take this off. And then what we have to do is this part here, this nut, is not for the pencil. It goes on here. So just push the lock and put this on. And then tighten it a little bit. Okay. Then this part goes into here. It's a square, not a circle, so we need to turn it until it fits right. Then spin that until it's tight. So now that's on. Then over here, we put our collet back into here. Then this goes back inside. Turn it. Yeah, and then if we want to tighten it here. Yes, so this button here is going to lock it, and then we can tighten it. So we're almost ready. We need to get a tool, so going to use a cutting disc, so I need to get one ready. If we want to use a cutting disc, then we need to take this tool here. It's just a shaft with a screw on it. Then we open the screw with the back of our wrench. And then we take the cutting wheel, put the screw inside. Eventually it goes in. Then tighten this on the back. Now it's important for this to be tight, but it shouldn't be too tight, because if it's too tight, then it's going to crack the disc. And the easiest way to tighten it is to put it inside here. And we want this fairly tight so it doesn't fly off while we're using it. And we can tighten this, hold the lock down. Tighten that a little bit more. Okay, not too much. Then we get some power going. And always check to make sure the main unit is off before we turn it on, or before we plug the power in, or keep this up off the table at least. Okay, then I'm going to put it to a lowest speed possible, just to start, and then we turn it on and hope it doesn't clip the microphone. Okay, that's pretty slow and pretty quiet too. It's not going to do very much if we use it like this. We need to go faster. Probably. Yeah, probably about 15,000 is going to be good. It's making a I've used a Dremel before, but it made a different sound. Maybe it's okay. So it's definitely a good idea to use safety glasses when we're doing this because it's going to shoot metal and sparks everywhere. Yeah, it's going to make a big mess. It's not a good idea to do this in the house. But I'm doing it on my kitchen table, so I can't complain if you do the same thing. Just go slowly. Slowly is good. And that line that I drew is completely useless. Also, I got the feeling that 15,000 is a little bit slow. And be careful with these discs. This one is reinforced, but these discs have a habit of suddenly exploding and flying into pieces everywhere. The reinforced ones are a little bit better, but if you're ever using these stone ones, then there's a high chance that it explodes. This one's a little bit thicker. If you get at cheaper tools, they're going to be thinner and have a higher chance of exploding, so really be careful and really put some safety glasses on. So hold on tight when you're doing this, because if it gets caught in the metal, it's going to try to rip out of your hand, and it's dangerous. Worst part is your reaction. If you jump suddenly, you'll end up hurting yourself more than what would have happened. And go slowly. If you go slowly, then it's not going to get stuck. We don't need to push, just let it do its work by itself. Give yourself enough time and it'll be safe. You don't have to worry too much. Keep your fingers away from it. It's making a lot more noise than I expected. And it's past midnight, so I think for the sake of my neighbors, I should stop and try this again in the morning time. Good morning again. So now we're ready to start, and unfortunately, last night we stopped for the neighbors, but today the neighbors might be making a fair amount of noise for us. But we'll just go ahead and do this anyways. There's probably going to be some airplanes and motorcycles in the background. So we've got zoomed in a little bit so we can see better here. Last night we cut one part off, and now we're going to get going. I'm just going to try and clean up a little bit on the top side. Alright, so it's cut out and it's not quite round, so I'm going to change bits and then we will try to round it off a little bit. Okay, there's nothing written down, so I'm hoping that this is a grinding stone and not for some kind of polishing. Going to take off the burrs around the edges now. Just going to touch up the inside edges here with a marker. Okay, so it's looking good to me now. We're going to clean up. We got a lot of mess on the table here. And it's important to get all of the aluminum dust off the inside here and the outside. Vacuum is the easiest, just to get all of that off so it doesn't get inside the power supply later. Okay, we're all cleaned up now, and originally I had said we're not going to buy any new parts, but I think it's a good idea to have a metal fan grill. You could try to print your own, but I don't want to have plastic parts covering the fan because it's easy to get broken if it gets bumped. Just picked up PC fan grill. The size is 60 millimeters. Black ones came in a 2-pack. I'll use the other one somewhere. Comes with another set of screws, but already we have our original screws and the size is the same, so we don't need these this time. Option would be to drill 2 new holes, but as long as there's no vibration, it's not necessary, so we'll see what happens. So actually it's kind of interesting. It still makes a little bit of turbulent noise even though we've cut it like this. And if we look at the profile, we can see that the edge is not quite perfectly matching the edge of the fan. So if you really wanted to make it perfect, then we need to make this hole match right along this edge here so that none of the air is hitting off the sides. But since this fan is, the main fan is circle, but these corners and the sides are not circular. So to make that perfect cut, actually we're going to have to make this cut non-circular, and it's going to take quite a lot of extra effort. So I think the amount of silence we've got already is enough for me. I'm going to take this sticker off. It doesn't make noise, but I'm going to take it off, and I will put it on the inside of the case for my memory later. We'll just attach this back. Make sure you got it aligned properly. So we're going to have the air flowing out. And the wire was originally facing down. When we tighten the fan grill, we don't want to tighten it too hard or it's actually going to open the eyelet on the fan grill. But we don't want it loose either, or that's going to allow for extra vibration. Okay, let's see how it sounds. Make sure there's no strange vibration noises. What I'm finding is that if I were to push down here on these two edges, it actually becomes quieter. So there is a little bit of vibration going on from the edges here not being tight up against the case. And also here there's the slightest bit of space underneath. I'm going to drill these 2 holes out, and we'll try one more time. To drill the holes out, we should remove the fan from the power supply completely. Connector is sealed inside with a little bit of tamper-proof seal. So it might take a little bit of effort to pull it off, and we have to be careful about the capacitor sitting here. Just to show you the basic idea of what to do is we'll just mark here and here. Yeah, it's enough for me to see. And then when we take off the grill, we'll be able to find the position for the holes. We use some metal drills. Please don't use wood drills. And we need a small block of wood. And super useful tool is a punch. This is a really small one. But what it lets us do is if we put this block of wood is not enough. Okay. We put it in the center of the hole that we marked. Then we push down. And I'm not sure if you can see, yeah, you can see it very slightly there. It puts a small indent in, and what that indent is going to do is keep the drill centered and straight. So if we just tried to drill, the drill tends to run out and make a mess. But with this, we can get the tip of the drill right here. And it should stay in pretty well. The drill size that we need to use is 4.5 millimeters. It matches the original one perfectly. Okay. So we will get the tip of the drill lined up with the indent that we just made. I hope. Yes. Then just go slowly and carefully and try to keep your drill straight and hold on very tightly. And this is in hammer modes. We don't want hammer mode for this. Okay. Now when we get near the end and are ready to poke through, it tends to catch and grab and it'll twist and rotate a lot. So going slowly is good, but also going fast with very light pressure. Very light pressure, but get the drill bit moving fast is going to help get a cleaner cut. There we go. Turned out good. So let's do the other one. Let's start slowly. Okay, then we'll take the pressure off and go faster. And looks pretty good. I'm not going to bother trying to taper because the taper was to get the original screws nice and flat. But now because we have a fan grill on top, it's no point in having the taper anymore. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've assembled everything again. I noticed that my spare screws were slightly different size, really slightly. They still fit in the holes, but just double check before you drill that yours are really going to fit inside a 4.5 millimeter hole. You might have to do some small adjustments. So let's power it on and see how it sounds. Yeah, now this is good. So now even if I push down on the corners or something and try to put some pressure, the sound stays the same. So we're not getting any additional vibration sounds coming. So adding the extra 2 screws did help very slightly reduce a little bit of the noise. At this point, we can stop and be happy with the result, I think. It's significantly quieter. However, there is one more thing that we can do, kind of a bonus tip. So let's take this one step further. I have a habit of making long videos, so let's stop here and try to take this one step further next time. We'll do a little bit more work and we can make this even more quiet than it currently is, and still almost all stock parts. So I'll leave a link to the Dremel in the description. If you use my link, it'll help out the channel a lot. It's an affiliate link. Thank you for watching, and see you again for the second part soon.